Hey there, Generals. Welcome back to Talking with Generals. Today we have a special guest with us. We're going to have our two normal co-hosts. We got Tyson and we got Nick. But we also get to have, like we did a couple weeks ago, we had Dr. Schaefer. Now we're going to go ahead and have Shafter High's principal, Mr. Russell Shipley, join us. And so we're going to start off with Mr. Shipley. As you guys can see, he's already on the screen. Mr. Shipley, I want to thank you guys. Thank you for coming and joining us. And we know this time's kind of busy and there's a lot going on, and we want to hear from you and what you have to think about current situation.
Well, I think currently, and I think probably maybe Nick and Tyson have some more questions, but currently, today is the last day of what we would do with some of the in-person instruction and support, as well as what we've been doing in the afternoons with athletics and activities and everything else going on. So on one end, it breaks the heart, because you wanted to continue to see this happen and get larger and get bigger and offer more options. But there's also that side where you also have to worry about student safety and our community safety and campus safety. And so it's, but then again, it continues to change day by day. But, I think as it comes to us, we make the best decision we can. So.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley. Again, we want to thank you on behalf of Chapter ASB and this talk show just coming on the show. So Tyson and I have a few questions for you, and I'm gonna start it off. Okay, so this one's a little bit of a tough one. What was the reason for the school shutting down again?
Honestly, I think the best way to probably describe it is this is a time that none of us have ever lived through, and we're reacting to what a virus does. A virus. And I think we were all kind of fingers crossed and optimistic and hoping that as we kind of peaked in the middle of summer and as we saw the numbers coming through, numbers from the county and public health, I think we were all hoping that we would get back to some type of normalcy and eventually bring back more and more groups, not just the groups that we had currently, but also in the afternoons with athletics and performing arts. I mean, you guys probably saw them. We had band and drum line and color guard out there as well. And things seemed to be just going great. And then, I don't know if, as you kind of watch the news and some of the COVID numbers that come in and the positivity and the cases, all of a sudden we started seeing numbers of 600, 900, 500, 300. And then from our perspective, we began to see other districts around the county that began to look really hard at, is this getting worse? And then we started seeing some districts begin to close. And I think this was something that collectively, Kern High took a look at all that data and all that information that it wasn't getting any better. And we also began to see that regardless of how much protocol we had, how much pre-testing and everything going on, there's so many variables that go and factor into this that I think the decision was made basically just, let's take a pause for now. Let's just take a deep breath, pause. And, we're a couple weeks before Christmas break. And then when it's ready to resume, when it's ready to hit the play button again, we will. But I think it was really just, I think a lot of us saw this peak again begin to happen that we saw at the tail end of this last year. And as we saw it really spike over the summertime. So yeah, and again, and it's also, I say a loaded question because, I think someone wonders, is just Shafter High? This is right now at this point, all of Bakersfield City School District has paused. All of Kern High is paused. When I say all of Kern High, it's everything from Kern Valley to Shafter to Arvin to North, the Golden Valley to BHS, to Liberty to Centennial, the Frontier, the list goes on. All 18 sites and soon to be 19 sites. So it's the entire, plus we also had some private parochial schools that closed about a week or two before us. I think it's just factoring in everything, and you kind of get to that point of we're dealing with a virus and people's health.
I would like to thank you again for coming on the show with us. And I have one more question for you. How is it different leading the school when it's closed?
Oh, it's serving as principal, it's hard to describe, and I think all of our generals know this, that a lot of the day-to-day is just the energy of the campus. It's people, it's students, it's generals, It's the life of the community. Um, and I think many times we underestimate that social interaction and that passing in the hallways, standing in line at the student store, showing up to finance to pre-buy your formal tickets, um, pulling into the parking lot at night for Friday night under the lights or Thursday night in the gym or whatever it may be. And I think that from our seat, from my seat, that's the part you miss. Because yeah, we have camera activity, but there's something to be said about just real in person. When you run into your mom and dad, or Nick, your mom and dad, or you see Mr. Feaster out there running back and forth between events and activities and trying to help out and whatever. I mean, and the list goes on. I think that's how it's different, because a lot of it is prior to this, we try not to live in this world. You try to do as much phone call and in person and conversations and and it's kind of like, hey, I'm not going to email the guy or email the lady. I'm going to go out and talk to them, good or bad, whatever that may be. Um, and even down in like parent meetings, sometimes, I mean, our doors are always open, and it's different because on any given day, our offices are backed up and full and people are coming in and out, checking in and out. And it's just kind of an awkward silence. And then the other part of it too is no matter what we do, it's so much of how we live and what we do in administration and school site governance. A lot of what we do is operated on past experience, stories, things we've lived through in the past or things we've been experienced in. None of us have lived through this. So it all premises back on do what's best for kids, do what's best for the campus. But it's a whole different thought process. It's different. So I'm trying to get creative too, because this virtual environment is, I think we all feel the same. So.
Thank you. Okay, so I have your next question. So the next question is, what's the toughest part of this year compared to any other normal year?
Honestly, I think, there's just two-part. As we closed out last year, there was some flexibility given, whether it was like makeup packets and I hate to dig up old bones, but I think you guys remember the whole pass, no pass thing and all that stuff. So that was us. We were a family, we were generals, and we finished off the year together and we made it through. I think the difference as we started this year, and rightfully so, but there's pros and cons. I think it was the formalization of when we went to the Canvas platform. And there's pros and cons to that. But I think the struggles there of the days of being able to swing by and pick up a packet for whatever, or handouts for whatever, or a project for this class or that class. It was now fully digital, and fully digital, fully virtual meant that we were pretty limited in what we could offer as far as what kids could or students could swing by and pick up and grab and come back later and turn in. And if any of you were around during that time or saw it, the whole front of the office at that time was just table after table after table. And you saw the math department, you saw teachers' names, and the science department and teachers' names, or programs like Project Lead the Way or video production or biomed. And that was kind of the operation. Well, we don't really have that now. So the second part of that in tandem is the challenge of, and what we saw the first 3 to 4 weeks, it was just the connectivity issue. And I got to tell you, it's kind of funny because here I am. I thought I paid for the fastest internet at our house, and even at the Shipley house, it bogged down. It locked up in a heartbeat, and then we had to get creative and have Spectrum come out. So I thought through my lens of, we've got some folks and families that there was some serious connectivity issues, and trying to do everything we could to get them what they needed in their hands, because what we didn't want to have happen was what I call the give up factor. That after a while, you've tried and tried and tried, and the technology is not working. You can't get in. You got to keep resetting it, and you get to that point where it's like, oh, just forget it. I'll deal with it later. So I think that's the different part, is just going to that full Canvas platform, and then you had connectivity issues, and it was different too. And the third part also is, to our current sophomores, juniors, and seniors, I mean, you pretty much know the Shafter way, the general way, what we are. My other worry was our incoming freshmen, because remember, these freshmen were in a different type of learning environment March and during their 8th grade year, whether they're sitting at Richland, Maple, Button Willow, RBG, or another feeder school, that they don't know any different. And so there was that whole other paradigm shift of trying to make sure we were doing what we could for them as well, because they hadn't yet even walked the hallowed halls of Shafter yet. Their only experience at Shafter High was this, and that's the first experience. That's the first thing they're going to take in. And I could even go personal, even my youngest. I mean, I thought about that as an incoming freshman. It just, it breaks your heart. You walk down the hallway and you see them in their living room or in the office, and they're working from home, just like you two are, and everybody else watching. And, that's, so anyways, I could ramble on, but that's kind of it in a nutshell, Nick.
Thank you. And I have one slightly less depressing question. What is something that you enjoyed about this year?
Say that again?
What is something that you enjoyed about this year, being the principal of Shafter High?
Honestly, I think it was a learning curve in leadership and with staff and faculty of these are different times. And I've oftentimes said, no one person can do this alone. And it was being able to, all of us together as a family, figure it out. And if anybody knows me well enough, I'm not an 11th hour planner. I many times get teased and criticized because I plan way too far in advance. But this is one of those that it was like day to day. I think for me that was frustrating, but then later I look back and I'm proud that we collectively, all of us came together, and no one had an ego in it. No one had a, well, you should know this or they ought to know that. No, it was like, hey, let's figure it out and we'll do it together as a family. And together as a family, we did it, and is it perfect? No. But are we doing good? Yeah. And it was weird glitches, like the tech glitches, from Zoom and authentication reports and logging in or logging out or breakout rooms or sessions, and the Canvas platform with the grading books. And then, oh my goodness, what happens when we do a schedule change and Tyson, you go from second period this to second period that, but we did it together as a family. All of us kind of just said, hey, anybody got any ideas? Because it was new to everyone. I couldn't tell the stories of, well, let me tell you, back in 1997, I couldn't do it because we never lived through this. There was no stories. So we did it together as a generals and together as a.
Perfect. Before we let you go, we're going to have this new thing we're coming up. We're going to ask these guys later on, and we're going to put it on Twitter for next week. But as the holiday season approaches, I know your lovely wife and your two boys, you guys have family traditions. Tell us one family tradition you guys do during the holidays.
We're not too creative, but I think honestly it's we typically have some type of project that we work on, something that we plan ahead for, whether it's we got to touch up the back patio or whether it's we got to get out in the back 40 and get ready for some trenching to be done. We usually have some big project, and it's in a weird way, my boys, even though it's work and it's hard work, usually it's a labor of love that we do together, and we kind of remind and remember back to, hey, remember back in December of 15, isn't that when we did this project? And we just remember the project of doing it together. And then second, I think it's just a tradition that we always do is just, we always have just a traditional prime rib dinner. And it's just, we always know, and we, smoke it on the pellet grill and come together. And that's now kind of turned into sort of a neighborhood tradition with a lot of my friends come over, and it's pretty humbling the amount of food that we're able to take in, but it's typically just a prime rib, a little bit of horseradish and some homemade mashed potatoes and green beans. Got to have the bacon in the green beans. That makes it the bacon in the green beans. You got to do that. And then we usually finish it off with one of my favorites, which, believe it or not, is a homemade Butterfinger ice cream. Love it. Love it. I can eat it over and over and over.
That sounds delicious. You can't go wrong there. I want to thank you for coming on, Mr. Shipley. We know you're busy. We know you got things going on, and we're going to keep going. But thank you again, and I'm sure we'll have you back.
All right. Take care, Generals. Thank you.
So, always to bring somebody on. We went from Dr. Schaefer, the superintendent, then we just had Mr. Shipley, the principal of Shafter High. who actually, the fun side note on that is Mr. Shipley, which I didn't even talk to you guys about this. Mr. Shipley was Dr. Schaefer's assistant principal when Dr. Schaefer was the principal at North High. So they go back a long ways. Mr. Shipley is one of his proteges. So it's actually pretty cool thing. We got announcements a little differently this time because we didn't actually do the full on record them offsite. Luke kind of let us down, I would say, but I think he's going to put some stuff up on the screen here. We're going to talk about it, and we want to thank. That's right. The turkey runs, the first ever turkey runs. Miss Saravino, she was the winner for the staff. Look at that headband. You can't go wrong there, right? And then the student was Kim Esparza, but Luke once again let us down, and he didn't put that one up there. So congratulations to Kim and to Miss Saravino. Both of you guys are going to be getting a $20 gift certificate to General's headquarters. So I'll reach out to you, Kim, to make sure you get it, and Miss Saravino, I'll make sure you get yours. Our next announcement, snack attack. This happened this morning. We have the best security team around. So this morning, ASB voted, as I don't know if you guys know this, but ASB talks about who did something that's awesome outside the normal job description. And in this case, they went with security for doing all they do with the food program and at night, and especially with during the conditioning going on. They're actually delivering the food out to the athletes. That's really not their job, but they're doing it, and they're doing it graciously and being really nice about it. And so the kids want to make sure we thank them. So good job, security. You guys got 24 donuts, even though there was only 4 of you on campus today. It was nice of you to share. We appreciate that. Our last announcement is our ugly sweater contest, their ugly Christmas contest. It's going to be December 16th. So we want you to go ahead, take a photo of yourself in an ugly Christmas sweater, post it on Twitter, tag us at Shafter High, or post it on Instagram, tag it at Shafter_High ASB. You have a chance to win a Starbucks gift card. We'll announce that winner on Twitter and on Instagram on December 17th. We want to get you guys going. We want to get you guys involved doing something kind of fun right before we go off the break. And normally that'd be finals time, but since the way the school year's kind of all screwed up, that's not finals. That's kind of a nice little thing. So we heard Mr. Shipley's tradition, and we're going to ask you guys, what's your holiday tradition? So we want on Twitter, we want you to go ahead, and we're going to be posting something. You're going to be seeing it, asking you to tell us what your family tradition is during the holiday season. We want to know what you guys do as generals, and every family handles it differently. I hope my wife doesn't hear that Mr. Shipley does a big project over Christmas vacation, because God knows I don't want to do a big project over Christmas vacation. So I'm hoping she doesn't hear that part. But what do you guys do? And Tyson, I'm going to start with you. What is a tradition the Dozier family does during the holiday season?
Something that we do, we make Christmas cookies with my little brothers. They always have a little blast with it. Got the cookie shapes, and we'll make like gingerbread man, snowman. They get all happy to see like to eat the cookies, so they get all happy about that tradition.
I like. Do you ice them?
Of course we do.
Okay, so is it homemade icing or does it come out of a can?
It's not homemade. It's coming out.
Even Luke is booing you from behind the scenes. Okay, come on, Tracy. I know you can make homemade icing. Okay, what else you got going on? What else you guys do, Tyson?
We like to, usually on Christmas Day, we'll have what is it called? Like a paper war. You get all your off your gifts, you make them into little like paper balls, like a snowball fight, but instead it's a gift wrapping fight.
I like that. Never heard of that. That's kind of a cool thing. That one's really cool. That gets a thumbs up from Luke in the background, but you still getting booed from the can icing. I'm really upset. I know your father appreciates good food. I know he'll travel great lengths for coffee. You think he'd go ahead and make some homemade icing. Nick, what do you do over there? What's your guys' tradition over at the Aguirre family?
Well, so leading up, we like to decorate the house, put up the tree, the normal stuff. And then Christmas Eve, we either go to my grandma's house or my aunt's house, and there we have like a big basketball game with all the family. And then obviously we eat the tamales. Everybody goes for the tamales, but it's more sumo basketball because of how fat we are. The tamales. Oh, grandma's tamales.
I could fit in that basketball game, it sounds like. What we do is ours is a little different. This year we can't do it, but traditionally Christmas Eve, My family started it. This would have been the 18th year of it, but normally we have anywhere between 30 to 50 people come over, and then we do a full-on Basque meal. Even though we're not Basque, I don't really know exactly how that started. My mom makes everything scratch, and then it ended up now I kind of take over. I do about half of it, and she does about the other half. But we're going to change it up this year because of COVID. Unfortunately, we're not all can't put 50 people in a house. So we're going to do a little differently, be much smaller, just be the immediate family. We'll do a scaled down version of the Basque meal. We'll still have fun. Okay, before we go, it is tradition, unlike the family tradition question. What are you doing this weekend? We all want to know what's going on right now. And we're going to start with you, Tyson. Tyson, what are your plans this weekend?
I think I'm just gonna stay home, watch some football like usual. But besides that, I think I'm just staying home.
Okay, Nick, what do you got this weekend?
Saturdays are for the boys and Sundays for Jesus.
Oh, we changed it up. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
I'm being reminded by Luke, we have the Twitter poll. We're going to put we got your family traditions. So make sure we go ahead and do that hashtag family tradition. That's what it says there. So make sure you tell us that. Use that hashtag. A nice little graphic. Apparently, Luke missed the whole conversation we had about that earlier when we were discussing to put it on Twitter. So it's nice it came up late. This weekend, what is my plans? I am going to take it easy. Hopefully there's no plans. Hopefully we're doing just something relaxed at the house, and that's what I hope to do. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I want to thank Mr. Shipley. I want to thank Nick and Tyson as usual. Luke was done not his best work today, but it was okay. But I appreciate all of you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure you get on Twitter. Tell us what your family tradition is so we can talk about it next time on the air. Talking with you, General, is always a pleasure. We'll see you next time.